Alright, so moving right along. We just finished number 8. So, number 9. Why does Akira say his meeting with Chie is a matter of urgency? So, this one was, I guess, pretty, at least in my opinion, obvious. So he fears that his own parents will disapprove of Naomi. That's wrong. It's not mentioned in the passage. He worries that Naomi will reject him and marry someone else. Again, not in the passage. So actually, we hear Naomi say she intends to marry him. So she intends to have him. So that's like really wrong. He knows that Chie is unaware of his feelings for Naomi. Well, I don't think that's relevant in either way. He just told her how he feels about Naomi. So C was the most correct. He does say that he has to go to Japan, that he needs to do that. So, so number 10, I actually got this one wrong initially when I took this SAT, like on my own to start making these videos, which is actually really aggravating because I misread the question completely. So I put C. And I don't know how many of you did, but I put C, which is lines 58 through 59. Lines 58 through 59. So depending on your response, I may stay in Japan. I've come to ask for Naomi's hand. So to me, that was why he was being so urgent about it, right? So that's why I put it. But the actual answer is B, and it makes total sense when you actually look at it from the question's perspective. So lines 39 through 42. So basically 39 through 42, where is that? I don't want to trouble you. Normally I would approach you more properly, but I've received word from a physician. I have an opportunity to go to America as a dentist for Seattle's Japanese community. So that's the real reason for his urgency. I guess that's just the better answer choice of the two. To me, this one was a little ambivalent, so I'm not too... I mean, if you got this wrong, I wouldn't be too upset about it, because I do think it's a little ambiguous. Anyway, one question wrong isn't a big deal in the grand scheme of things, right? So that's the last question, I think. Yeah, it's the last question. So moving on to the next passage. So this passage is basically, quick synopsis is basically that people are spending money on gifts, but basically people don't understand what other people want, or are sort of under the illusion that the more money you spend, the happier the person getting the gift will be. And it's basically commentary on either why we believe this, it's commentary on what gift giving is. I thought this was actually to be honest, I thought all the passages were pretty interesting. But whatever. I guess you grow to love it as you study so much for it. So hopefully that's what will happen to you guys. So let's just jump into it. So question 11. The author most likely uses the examples in lines 1 through 9 of the passage to highlight. So to me, it really just came down to A and D. So D was correct, but the reason it's wrong for this answer is because it doesn't absolutely reflect what the author wanted to highlight. I mean, it's true, it is a number of special occasions involving gift giving, but it wasn't why the author said it. He said, we spend all this money on retail stores, we purchase holiday gifts, and most people regularly buy presents for other occasions throughout the year. So I think this is the most important key, because most people are buying regularly, and so that's what it's saying. So after he says regularly, he starts to say, we buy for weddings, birthdays, anniversaries, all this stuff. So that's why A is correct. Number 12. In lines 10, the word ambivalent most nearly means. So, to me, it sort of came down to knowing what ambivalent was, but I think that if you approach the question correctly, you could get it right anyway. So, he's using ambivalent in terms of two different instances. So, he uses it in the positive sense. So, people relish the opportunity by presents because they do enjoy building bonds. But again, people dread buying gifts because they don't know, people think that the gifts that they buy might not be very good. So ambivalence in this case is sort of this internal battle between good and bad. And ambivalent really means conflicted, like you're not sure how to feel about it. On one hand you like it, on the other hand you don't. So in the other cases, the other word choices don't really make sense in that context anyway. So that's one way to approach it, especially if you don't know the answer or what ambivalent actually means. So number 13, the authors indicates that people value gift giving because they feel, so this goes straight to, which we'll see in this question, in this answer, can serve to strengthen a relationship. And if we look at lines 10 through 13, which is answer choice in number 14, we see that many relish the opportunity to buy presents because gift giving offers a powerful means to build stronger bonds. So that's 2 in 1 again. So number 15, the social psychologist mentioned in paragraph 2. I had the biggest problem finding this where it said social psychologist. So it's like one little sentence, so this is not surprising to social psychologists. Thanks for giving me an actual line, buddy. So the dead weight, they would think it's predictable because, let's see, this is not in itself surprising. So first of all, if it's not surprising, then it's something that you could predict. And then we look further and see that social psychologists know that people aren't very good at using other perspectives. People are very egocentric and they don't really know how to get into the other person's shoes. So number 16, the passage indicates that the assumption made by gift givers in lines 41 through 44. So this one is incorrect, and the answer choice for this one, so the next question gives the basically the way to find the answer choice. So we find that it's C. And so let's look at lines 63 to 65. So as for gift recipients, they may not construe smaller and larger gifts as representing smaller and larger signals of thoughtfulness and consideration. So basically, people might think that, oh, because I'm giving us the assumption that the gift giver is making is that because I'm spending more money, the person receiving the gift will like it more. And the question is saying it's incorrect, right? So that's number 16. Fast forward to number 17, the proof is that the actual thoughtfulness and consideration is what the recipient, the person who's getting the gift, cares about, not necessarily how much it costs. So that's why number 17 and 16 are the answers that they are. Number 18, as it is used in line 54, convey most nearly means. So in this case, it's communicate. So it's kind of, I mean, to me, these last two definition questions were like very direct. And so communicate in this case means just to be able to express yourself. And so in line 54, convey, so to express stronger signals of thoughtfulness and consideration. The other answers don't make sense at all. 19. The authors refer to work by Kammerer and others in order to, in this case it's offer an explanation, and you can see that the other ones are very wrong. They don't really do those answer choices. Really, they're just trying to explain something to say, hey, this is why people give gifts in the first place. So yeah. Number 20, the graph following the passage offers evidence that gift givers base their predictions of how much a gift will be appreciated on. So if we look at this graph right here, we see that it might be confusing if you don't read the heading. So gift perceived, givers perceived, so this is the perceived appreciation, and this is the recipient's actual. So this is how the recipient actually feels. And so we note that the more expensive is this lighter shade, and in the perceived, so what I think as a gift giver, this is what I believe, we see that we think that the person will appreciate it much more if it's more expensive. So we see this huge little gap here that represents spending a lot of money versus spending a little money, and how happy people are receiving that gift because of its cost. So we see that they don't really value less expensive gifts, but they really value expensive gifts. And remember, this is only the perceived appreciation. This isn't the actual. So the actual, we have to move a little bit to the right here, and we actually see that the less expensive gift is appreciated more. And I'm assuming that it just happens because the less expensive the gift, perhaps the more thoughtful and considerate you are, knowing that it's a little cheaper. So we see that the recipient actually appreciates the cheaper gift more in reality, as opposed to the imagined giver's perceived appreciation. So I hope that makes sense. Basically, this is what the giver thinks is going to happen, so the person giving the gift, and this is what the receiver gets, so this is what the receiver actually feels. So given that beating that to death, basically, we see that the gift givers base their prediction of how much the gift will be appreciated on the monetary value. So we see that the only difference between these two is how much it costs. So the monetary value is the reason for the discrepancy of appreciation for that specific gift. And moving forward, 21, we see that the author would probably attribute this difference in gift giving and recipient happiness. So like the actual difference between why we would actually believe that someone would be happier with a more expensive gift is, and this one might be confusing because people tend to give their own information when taking these exams. So you have to understand these three are actually reasonable answers, except they're not supported by the passage at all. So the only one that's actually mentioned in the passage is our inability to get into the other person's shoes. So so we see that literally in this passage, we see that there's this dead weight phenomenon that he talks about. So it says gift givers are not very good at predicting what gifts others will appreciate. So we can't really change our perspectives. It mentions researchers found that people often struggle to take account of others' perspectives. So it's really just in the passage that we can't switch our perspective, and you could be inclined to believe that these are the answers when in reality it's not mentioned in the passage. So I think I'll stop here just because the next passage is about to occur. So I'll see you next video.